Toby's mother never expected to come home early from work that day. She had been stuck in a meeting all afternoon, but when she received a message from her husband about an urgent work matter, she decided to surprise Toby. What she didn't know was that this seemingly innocent decision would change everything. As she stepped into the living room, her heart froze. There on the couch was Cunnel, the neighbor's son, his hand in places it was never supposed to be. Toby, eyes wide with confusion and fear, sat frozen, his face pale. Cunnel, caught in the act, quickly pulled away, his face turning red as he tried to explain. Toby's mother stood still, her mind racing, trying to make sense of the scene unfolding before her. What was happening to her son? Why had she not noticed the subtle changes in Toby's behavior over the past few weeks? Her heart sank as the realization hit her. She had been so consumed by her work that she had ignored the most important thing in her life, her child. This is how it all started. Toby was only 5, but he already felt the deep silence that filled the home. His parents were always at work, too busy with their careers to notice the growing sadness in their son's eyes. Every morning his mother rushed out for meetings, her face glued to her phone. His father, always consumed by deadlines, barely made it home before Toby fell asleep. The house echoed with their absence, and Toby, in his innocence, didn't know how to fill the void. The neighbor's son, Cunnel, was often the one to keep him company. At first, Toby welcomed Cunnel's visits. He admired the older boy's confidence and knowledge of things Toby didn't understand. But as days passed, Toby began to notice a discomfort creeping in. Cunnel's presence was no longer just about playing games. It was about keeping Toby away from his feelings of loneliness and pain, using distractions to fill a void Toby didn't even know how to name. Toby's parents thought everything was fine. They saw the smile on his face when they came home, the stories he told about his friend Cunnel, and the excitement in his eyes when they asked how his day was. What they didn't see, however, was how the games Cunnel played with him had started to change. Toby didn't know how to explain the discomfort he felt when Cunnel touched him, or how Cunnel would dismiss his requests to stop. In his young mind, Toby believed that if he didn't play along, he would lose the little bit of attention he had. Cunnel, much older and more manipulative, understood the vulnerability in Toby's silence. The once innocent games turned into uncomfortable encounters, but Toby, unable to voice his fears, remained trapped in a cycle of confusion. Toby began to retreat into himself. First it was subtle. He stopped asking for his favorite bedtime stories. He no longer excitedly greeted his parents when they came home. He withdrew from playing outside, preferring the quiet isolation of his room. His parents, busy with their professional lives, didn't notice the signs. The once joyful laughter of Toby had been replaced with a quiet sadness that no one acknowledged. At dinner, Toby's eyes lost their spark, his voice barely a whisper. When his parents asked how his day had gone, he would just nod and say, "Good," despite feeling the weight of confusion in his heart. No one noticed that Toby had stopped looking forward to their conversations. He didn't know how to tell them about Cunnel's visits, or about how his feelings of discomfort grew with every passing day. One evening, after noticing that Toby's school grades had started slipping, his mother decided to sit down with him and talk. Toby, still too young to understand the complexities of his emotions, was reluctant at first, but his mother persisted. She noticed the empty look in his eyes, a void that seemed to have taken hold of her son. She had been so focused on her career, so consumed by the demands of her job, that she hadn't seen how much her son had been struggling. "Is everything okay, Toby?" she asked softly, her heart aching at the sight of her son's withdrawn demeanor. For the first time in months, she put her work aside to truly connect with him. Slowly, Toby began to speak, telling her about Cunnel, about the games they played, and how uncomfortable he felt. His mother's heart sank as she realized the magnitude of what had been happening, all while she had been absent in her child's life. Toby's father, always caught up in work, had noticed the change in his son, but he had written it off as a phase. When his wife confronted him about what Toby had said, he too was devastated. He had been so busy building his career, providing for the family, that he hadn't taken the time to notice the emotional needs of his son. The guilt weighed heavily on him as he thought about how he had neglected the one thing that truly mattered: his child's well-being. Toby's parents sat together, their hearts broken, realizing the damage their neglect had caused. They had taken their son's presence for granted, not realizing how vital it was to their child's emotional development. They knew that it wasn't too late to change, but the road to rebuilding trust would be long and difficult. Toby's mother, fueled by guilt and a newfound determination to protect her son, decided to confront Connell. She went to his house demanding answers. Connell, still a child himself, didn't fully understand the weight of what he had done, but his behavior was acknowledged and addressed. Connell's parents, shocked by the accusations, took immediate action to ensure their son received the proper guidance. It was clear that he too had been misguided, learning unhealthy patterns from a young age. At the same time, Toby's parents enrolled him in counseling, allowing him a safe space to talk about his feelings and experiences. It was important to show Toby that his feelings mattered, that his voice was powerful, and that he had the right to speak up about anything that made him uncomfortable. Rebuilding trust with Toby was not an easy task. His parents made conscious efforts to spend quality time with him, taking him to the park, reading his favorite stories and listening to his thoughts. Slowly, Toby began to open up again. He told his parents about his favorite parts of the day, and his laughter, once lost, began to return. They kept their promises to be present, and over time, Toby's smile began to shine once more. Toby's story became a reminder to his parents, and to everyone around them, about the importance of being present in a child's life. The world could be busy, careers could be demanding, but the emotional needs of children should never be neglected. It only took one moment of realization for his parents to understand that their love and attention were the greatest gifts they could give their son. As Toby entered adulthood, he became a voice for those who had been silenced, advocating for children's emotional well-being. His journey, though painful, taught him the importance of being heard, being seen, and never being overlooked. He carried the lessons from his past into his future, determined to create a world where no child would ever have to feel neglected or unheard again. Toby's parents, now deeply committed to raising their children with love, attention, and care, knew that the best legacy they could leave was not material wealth, but the security of a child who knew they were loved and protected. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting African stories.